Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Deadly COVID birthday party in Tobago. This story takes the lead in a 1006th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday 14th December 2020. Details when we return. Three separate birthday parties in Tobago have led to 11 positive COVID-19 cases and 1 death due to the virus. The Ministry of Health is describing this development as a disturbing trend. It's taking this opportunity to once again urge Trinbagonians to desist from unnecessary gatherings heading into the Christmas season, as all it takes is one gathering to turn into a super spreader event. TV6's Renessa Cutting reports.
A celebration of life ended in the morning of a death for one family after journeying to Tobago for a birthday party.
On the 22nd of November, there was a birthday party in Tobago, where people from Trinidad went across. After that birthday party, it gave us 5 positive cases, and one of the Trinidadians who then came back to Tobago, who probably went across with the virus, subsequently passed.
Regrettably, that was not the only incidence of a COVID-spreading birthday party on the island.
On the 28th of November, there was another birthday party in Tobago, which again spawned 5 cases. On the 8th of December, there was another birthday party in Tobago. So far, that has given us 1 positive case, but in speaking to Dr. Tiffany Hoyt just a few minutes ago, they are looking at all the primary contacts out of that case.
If you attended one of these birthday parties or any other gathering, you are advised to take the necessary precautions. According to Tobago's Division of Health and Wellness, the island currently has 26 active cases. While the number may appear to be quite low, Tobago now accounts for 9.4% of this country's active cases.
Tobago 9.4% is the 5th. Tobago normally accounts for anywhere between 1 and 2%, sometimes even less. We see that as a significant increase.
The ministry has also noted a disturbing trend arising out of the prison service.
For County Caroni, we have seen a disturbing trend whereby prison officers have been contributing to not just the cases, but also to many contacts because of the eating, having, gatherings with no mask wearing. So that is just something to note.
However, the overall number of cases is on the decline. As of this morning, Trinidad and Tobago's active caseload stood at 627, with a total of 122 deaths.
Over the last 21 days, there have only been 9 deaths in Trinidad and Tobago. That is good. That is good.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Antigua's tourism officials are remaining optimistic about the prospects for the country's largest source market, the United States. That's despite soaring COVID-19 infections in parts of the U.S. As the Antigua-Barbuda Tourism Authority hosts its first familiarization trip amid COVID-19, ABS's Ursel Charles Jr. heard from officials and visiting members of the U.S. Trade Advisory Board.
The United States source market for visitors to this country is set to continue to lead the way in tourist arrivals. CEO of the Antigua-Barbuda Tourism Authority, Colin James, says despite the tough goings due to COVID-19, airlift supply will soon drive demand from the U.S.
We look forward to the numbers turning around and picking up very solidly in the new year. We've been loading up with flights coming back to Antigua and Barbuda from the USA. Delta with 5 flights per week. American Airlines, the second daily flight starts on the 18th. A daily flight from JFK on American Airlines. And so we are seeing the airlift being there to support the uptick in demand that we are seeing. So we're encouraged, we're excited.
Antigua and Barbuda's U.S. Director of Tourism, Dean Fenton, posits the introduction of a viable vaccine for COVID-19 is a Herculean step in the right direction, which will drive tourism demand in the near future.
In the interim, we'll put a travel agent advisory board together. We're the first destination to do that. We're using these guys as a sounding board, not just for the tourism board itself, but for our hotels on island. We're going to use these guys as a sounding board to know to tell us what's going on, what we should do as a destination, what the hotel should be doing in terms of protocols, and that's the entire purpose of this trip.
These comments were made as 7 members of the ABTA's U.S. Travel Advisory Board commence a 4-day familiarization tour to Antigua. The agents are already impressed by the destination.
I'm very impressed with the airport protocol. It was so smooth. I felt so safe. Everybody points you in the right direction. Wash your hands, take your temperature. It was really awesome.
Love this destination. It's absolutely gorgeous. The beaches, the people, the accommodations. You can't go wrong.
I fell in love with Antigua the first time I came when I was about 19 years old, and I've been coming back since. Between the amazing beaches, the warm and friendly people, the spectacular resorts, there's really something for everyone.
While on island, the agents will visit a variety of the sites and attractions and several hotel properties. For ABS News, I am Ursula Charles Jr.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Medical officials in St. Lucia, meantime, have welcomed the new contact tracing app to help ease the burden on the healthcare system. Medical professionals appeared on the Government Information Service on Thursday to provide details on the application. Colby DeVore of HTS News Force has more for us.
As time passes and memories fade, COVID-19 positive individuals may have trouble remembering the persons they came into close contact with. The Health Ministry is currently in possession of the 758 Care Alert app to track an individual's whereabouts over a 14-day period. Health officials explained how the app works at a press conference on Thursday at the command center.
There are some limitations to contact tracing, and sometimes persons don't remember exactly where they've been, who they've been in contact with, who has visited them, some of the activities that they've been engaged in. And by using the app, we are the ones, the contact tracing team, who would be privy to the information that the confirmed case is giving us. Pretty much like what is happening now, but it's just going to help to joggle their memory and to help them.
Graduate student and researcher at Harvard University, Khalil Lucia, has been involved in the development of the app at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Lucia says the application helps map the spread of the virus.
So all of the public places that you would have gone to over 14-day period, so 2-week period, it maintains all of those points and it saves it in your phone. No one has access to this information. Even if somebody goes into your phone, they cannot see all of the places that you visited. So it is completely private. In the event that one individual does test positive for COVID-19 or any infectious disease, really, they would choose to share that location log with the contact tracer. And the contact tracer would then be able to have a visual representation of all of the public places that individual had gone to over the 14-day period.
Principal Nursing Officer Juliet Cassius welcomes the app, which she says will help lift a huge weight off the healthcare system.
If one is placed on home quarantine, one is expected to remain within the confines of this room or the dwelling in which they're at. So we would not expect these persons to be moving around. So in that case, the app should not show you have been anywhere because you are supposed to be confined. So in that way, it puts a little less pressure on the ministry in that we know that this person is within home quarantine and they would not have been moving around where we would need to be doing that kind of contact tracing.
The violation of home quarantine rules has been one of the major challenges for the Health Ministry. During the NEMAC press conference on Wednesday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar-George disclosed that some individuals were even hosting, quote, quarantine parties, unquote. Additionally, the authorities are bracing themselves for an increase in home quarantine applications from returning nationals this holiday season. The government expects the receipt of electronic devices this week, following a successful pilot process of the first batch. Officials are in the process of reviewing the bio buttons and tracking of persons in self-isolation, which are set to commence next week. Colby DeVoe, HTS News Force.
Guyana's former President David Granger has snubbed the invitation by President Irfan Ali to a meeting of former presidents, pointing out that Ali failed to provide an agenda to guide the proposed discussions. More from HGP's Wendell Badri.
Granger said that it would be, and I quote, a huge public disappointment for the proposed high-level meeting to take place hurriedly, in an unorganized, unplanned manner, and without a predictable prospect of progress or success, end quote. The former president, in his missive, indicated that he regards Ghana's development as a serious matter, while highlighting that there is public concern about certain actions by the government, including the high rates of deaths as a result of the pandemic, unwarranted dismissals of public servants, harassment of election officials, and human rights violations, which can have consequences for Ghana's short, medium, and long-term national development, after which he recommended that the proposed meeting be deferred to a later date, until an agreed agenda could be structured and the issues mentioned could be addressed satisfactorily. On Friday last, at the launch of the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, President Irfan Ali had called for a meeting among former presidents of the country.
In my inauguration speech, I committed to convening a meeting between all former presidents of Guyana, and I have named December the 15th as the date of the first meeting.
Granger acknowledged receipt of a letter dated December 4th from the Honorable Gail Teixeira, Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs, inviting him to a working lunch at 12 hours on Tuesday, December 15th at State House, which prompted his response. Reports indicate thus far that one former president, Donald Ramatar, has indicated his intention to attend the proposed meeting. On Friday, this newscast spoke with the president of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, Nicholas Dagu Boyer, where he was questioned about the meeting of former presidents, to which he replied,
I think David Granger, as a former president, is quite capable of deciding whether he felt unbalanced or not coming out of it. What I will speak to is that definitely I think it's a good initiative, and I hope that former President Granger accepts and at least start, is part of the initial meeting, and we see how that goes.
Since Monday, this newscast has been reporting on the meeting of former presidents. Dr. Henry Jeffrey, political analyst and former government minister, as well as Hamilton Green, former mayor and the prime minister, have both agreed that an agenda between the parties should be agreed upon before the proposed meeting takes place. Both Green and Jeffrey had also preferred that the proposed meeting would showcase an unbalanced participatory structure, given that it would be a 4-to-1 affair, that is, 3 former presidents, Samuel Hines, Donald Ramatar, and Bharat Jagdeo, belonging to the People's Progressive Party, while Granger is the only former president from the APNU AFC camp. They also agreed that the president, Irfan Ali, should respect his obligation to the Constitution and meet with the leader of the opposition as is mandated. APNU AFC Chief Whip Christopher Jones also shares this view.
He should not attend. It's a complete waste of time, and in fact it is disrespectful to the parliamentary opposition, because currently anything that Irfan Ali wants to bring to the National Assembly, the authority here is the opposition leader, which happens to be Joseph Harmon. So any meeting about future development or plans of Guyana has to be done in consultation with the opposition leader, not the former president.
Wendell Badri, HGP Nightly News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.